Ladies and gentlemen, we are officially halfway through Fortnite OG. It makes me a little sad knowing how fast this game mode is going by, but today we'll be recapping some of the greatest re-additions within the game mode, many Easter eggs around the island, and also what people want to see in the future of the game mode. So buckle your seatbelts, grab some popcorn, and without further ado, let's get right into it. All right, so today we are on max graphics. Look at how good this looks. I will say the recent change with the graphical issues, not only within Fortnite OG, but Chapter 6, it just looks absolutely outstanding, and my frames are just so much better. So first, let's go over the beginning. Fortnite OG Season 1. It was pretty slow, but it gave us a taste of true OG Fortnite. I think they did capture the essence of nostalgia during this time, but I'm still glad they started at Season 1, just because it was so bare bones. Like, there wasn't even minis yet, and it was a huge shift from fast-paced gameplay, and you actually had to be strategic with your fights. It wasn't terrible, but, you know, the gameplay was very, very slow, and honestly, it wasn't for everyone. So if you didn't enjoy it, I completely understand, and I bet that most of you didn't even start playing Fortnite during that time. But me personally, I enjoyed it so much since it was the start of my YouTube career. By the way, that was a crazy snipe. What? But I am a little bit biased, and I like to think I'm a little biased because I streamed a ton of content, and OG was just popping during that era. The one thing that people were angry about was, well, the season shop and the re-release of it. I don't know. I didn't have Renegade Raider or any of the OG skins from the season shop, so I was happy to have it in my locker. And just recently, the OGs that had Renegade Raider, Aerial Assault Trooper, and the Raider's Revenge pickaxe did get their own style, which is a huge W for everyone, and it just feels like a win-win. Also, the items that were re-added, like the directional bounce pads, were pretty crazy. It's something that we haven't seen in so long, and it's something that we haven't seen since Chapter 1. So it was really cool to have those items back. But the biggest thing, since it was the start, is that people were so happy that there were no bots within, you know, a game mode. Chapter 5 had so many bots, and with the release of Chapter 6, it got even worse. And at the beginning of Season 1, there were 0 bots, but sadly, they did reintroduce them later on into the game mode once the player count dropped. I think that's pretty much it for Season 1. I won't cover it much just because it was so simplistic and bare bones, but it definitely was a weird time for OG for sure. And if OG does repeat, I hope some things are changed within Season 1, but I won't get into that right now. Let's talk about OG Season 2. Now, Fortnite OG Season 2, I like to claim is the buggy season. It had a really hot start, and like, I'm pretty sure it had over 300,000 players whenever it first dropped, which is kind of insane. But many people slowly left the game mode, and we'll get into why in a little bit. The OG pass was pretty solid, but if you remember, there was so much controversy and conspiracies about the OG battle passes coming back. And the reason why so many people thought that is because the season shop came back for Fortnite OG Season 1. It ended up not returning, but if you remember, it was just a weird few weeks just waiting for the announcement of the old battle passes to return. And for me, thankfully, I have every Chapter 1 battle pass max, so I didn't have to really worry about anything after they announced that it wasn't coming back. Minis were finally brought back into the game, which I think helped steady the player count and keep people from leaving the game mode. Honestly, minis were just such a huge necessity, and still are, just because there was no shield during Season 1, and that was most people's just biggest complaint about Fortnite OG Season 1. Season 2 was still pretty bare bones for the most part. I mean, we did see the reintroduction of tilted towers, shifty shafts, haunted hills, junk junction, which in my opinion is just a huge necessity, just because during OG Season 1 and during Chapter 1, Season 1, and Season 0, the map was so big, but there were no really hot drop POIs except, I guess, Retail Row and Salty Springs. But a lot of things like weapon models were fixed within the season, but there was really no major graphical changes, which is what we'll get into next. The problem that Fortnite OG faced during this time is it couldn't hold a good player count, number one, but a lot of graphical issues were not fixed. And also, there were no updates during the season. There were some, but it wasn't anything like major at all. We did see the Zapatron in season 2, which I thought was a little weird, but it was quickly taken out since in the original OG, it was out for only like 30 minutes. I don't know, the updates, there was really nothing new within the game mode, and it lasting a lot longer made it so much more boring in my opinion. But overall, it was still a really good season, and I started to get a lot more nostalgic during the season. I think one of the bigger problems though is that season 2 was really heavy around Christmas themed. There were Christmas lights on bushes, and I think if season 2 released during Christmas, it would have been so much more different, and I think a lot more nostalgic for the majority of the player base. But that's pretty much it for season 2, so let's talk about season 3. Fortnite OG season 3 was kind of a failed season. Now, I hate even giving it that title, but let's be honest, there were so many ways to make this season better. I feel like within Fortnite OG's journey, this was the pivot and the worst dip of all. And for sure, this was the bottom of the roller coaster. One thing that was talked about the most on launch was the OG pass. And let's be real, it was horrible. The skins, the pickaxes, I don't know, man. It just, nobody was rocking these skins. The gameplay was really, really good during this season. I can't even lie. We got the reintroduction of the Desert Eagle and also the hunting rifle. The hunting rifle might have been season 2. I'm not 100% sure though. But the biggest addition of all was the 50v50 LTM. It was super cool at first when I first loaded into a game. And honestly, I was loving it so much. But the biggest problem was the bot lobbies. See, 50v50 was supposed to be a hard game mode, and I think that's why a lot of people just kind of stopped playing it. I know some people do still play it in my Discord, and by the way, if you do want to join the Discord, we are hosting scrims very, very soon. So if you would like to join those and win tournament cash prizes, then make sure to join in the description below. Also, rifts and ziplines were added, and people were really angry about that, but I've said it so many times, it was for zero build players, and honestly, it was kind of just like a quality of life change, and these quality of life changes make the game mode so much better, kind of like the slurp cactuses that we see in Fortnite OG Season 5. It definitely does help boost the player count whenever you add things like this. I do think the rifts are a little overpowered, but it definitely was nice having them in OG Season 3. The worst complaint about the season from so many people, though, was the old grass. Now, if you see here, like, this grass, like, it looks normal, right? But look at this clip. It looks horrid. The grass was way too tall, and you couldn't even play on DirectX 11 or DirectX 12 just because of how tall it was. But now, as you see, they have fixed it, and it looks so much better, and it creates so much more room for nostalgia. The most terrible part about this season, in my opinion, and I think so many people can agree with me on this, was the length of the season. Now, originally, it was supposed to be only like a month or two, but it ended up being only 3 months. There was also just minimalistic updates, which made it so much worse. Content for me was just super slow during that time, and also I kind of took a break from YouTube just because I wasn't enjoying OG as much, and I was focused on, you know, other content that wasn't really related to OG. But so far, this was the worst, and I hope we never have a season like it in OG again, just because of how bad it was. Now, listen, Fortnite OG Season 4, I call this the comeback season. This season was a crazy step up. A lot of graphical issues were fixed, like the OG grass, which many people were really ecstatic about. Also, a lot of the weapon models and audios were fixed as well, but overall, the atmosphere of the game mode felt so much better and much more nostalgic. In my opinion, OG right now has a new sense of nostalgia, which is a very good thing. You don't want it to replace the 2018 nostalgia, but give you new nostalgia. Yes, a lot of the weapon models and audios were fixed as well, but overall, the atmosphere was just crazy. The map was definitely in a much better state than OG Season 3, and also the lore of Fortnite OG started to expand since we received the Red Rift Butterfly and a change in the Fortnite OG storyline, showing a Red Rift and theories about a Red Kevin the Cube, which we now have. I still don't know his official name. I think it might be Revan, it might be Daniel. Dude, I don't even know. Let me know in the comments his official name down below. Performance issues were also optimized, and the gameplay felt so much smoother on higher graphics. Like, look, I'm getting constant... Oh, crap. Hold on. Let's fight this guy real quick. We're running away. But yes, a lot of performance issues were optimized, and gameplay was just so much better. Like, my FPS is so much better now, and also on performance mode, it's just 1,000 times better. Especially if you were on PC, it was just so much better, man. Epic Games also changed a bit of the map from funny clips in 2018. Like, Ninja even got his own gravestone near the mansion when he had no mats. And we also saw the introduction of expert mode, which had 0 bots and all real players. Now, this was recently vaulted, which is kind of unfortunate, and I hope we do see the reintroduction of this game mode, because it was just amazing, man. But overall, the best thing that was added was the OG pass, and they really stepped it up from Fortnite OG Season 3. And OG retained many more players than it did in its previous season. Now, let's get on to Fortnite OG Season 5, which is the season we are currently on. Now, I know we haven't fully finished Fortnite OG Season 5. However, with the way the game mode has been playing, especially after Season 4, it's safe to say it might just be an uphill trend from here. A lot of people started playing Fortnite during this time, Season 5 to Season 6 of Chapter 1, and people are going to get a lot more nostalgia coming back to these seasons, in my opinion, and they just play so much better, especially in the modern era that we're in right now. Also, the gameplay is much different and way better with the mobility items such as shockwaves. And also, since the spawn of Kevin the Cube, you can actually like rift with Kevin the Cube when you shoot him. This OG pass was definitely the best that we've seen for sure out of all the OG passes that we have seen. And there were also many fixes in the game mode as well, such as graphical changes, also weapon models, and the accuracy of the weapons. I like that they aren't rolling out all the items, so it keeps the gameplay fresh when there's a new update in OG, and I can't wait for the future lore of this game mode. Being halfway through Fortnite OG is so wild to me, and I'm glad that this game mode is only getting better by the day. Let me know your favorite season down in the comments below and which seasons you are looking forward to the most. Guys and gals, it's been your boy Tricky, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.